Story 1. Almost Robbed. My parents had left for a weekend getaway, and I was home alone, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. Little did I know that this night would turn into a nightmare I would never forget. I was curled up on the couch, watching a scary movie, when I heard a noise coming from the backyard. My heart skipped a beat as I paused the movie and strained my ears to listen. There it was again, a faint rustling sound. I was too scared, but I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. With a racing heartbeat, I tiptoed towards the window overlooking the backyard. The rain pelted against the glass, making it difficult to see. But as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw them. 3 figures wearing eerie masks, huddled together near the edge of my yard. Panic set in as I realized they were trying to break into my house. My mind raced, and I knew I had to act quickly. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, my voice trembling as I whispered the situation to the operator. They assured me that help was on the way, but it felt like an eternity as I waited for the police to arrive. Time seemed to slow down, and every creak and whisper in the house sent shivers down my spine. As I stood there, clutching the phone tightly, the power suddenly went out, plunging the house into complete darkness. My heart pounded in my chest, and the silence around me felt suffocating. At that moment, I realized I had to take matters into my own hands. I crept towards the front door, trying to stay as quiet as possible. The rain had turned into a torrential downpour, providing a cover for my movements. With trembling hands, I locked the door and barricaded it with furniture from the hallway. I knew it wouldn't hold them for long, but it bought me some precious time. Suddenly, I heard a loud crash from the backyard. The robbers had broken a window and were now inside the house. Fear consumed me, but I refused to give in. I sneaked up the stairs, trying to make as little noise as possible. The darkness weighed heavily on me, making it difficult to navigate through the unfamiliar territory. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard the sound of footsteps approaching. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I ducked into my parents' bedroom. I closed the door behind me, praying they wouldn't find me. The room was pitch black, and I held my breath, straining my ears again to listen for any sign of their presence. Minutes turned into hours as I waited, my heart pounding in my ears. Suddenly, the bedroom door creaked open, and a sliver of light cut through the darkness. I held my breath, terrified that the robbers had found me. But to my relief, I heard the sound of sirens outside. The police had arrived just in time. The robbers must have heard the sirens too, because they hurriedly fled the house, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The police searched the area, but couldn't find them. They assured me that they would continue their investigation and keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. As the dawn broke, I stepped outside, feeling a mixture of relief and lingering fear. The rain had finally subsided, and the world seemed to come alive again. The events of the night would forever haunt me, but I was grateful to have escaped unharmed. From that day on, I vowed to never take my safety for granted. The experience taught me the importance of being vigilant and prepared. The memory of those mass robbers would always linger in the back of my mind. Story 2. Creepy Stalker. I was sitting alone in my house, enjoying a quiet evening after a long, tiring day. The glow of the TV screen filled the room as I was laying on the couch, completely unaware of the chilling horror that was about to unfold. Suddenly, my phone buzzed, startling me. I picked it up to see a strange message from an unknown number. "Watch out of your window," it read, making me too scared. My heart raced as I glanced around the room, feeling a growing sense of unease. Who could be sending me such a disturbing message? I reluctantly approached the window, hesitating for a moment before slowly pulling back the curtain. Outside, the street was eerily quiet, bathed in a pale glow of the moon. I squinted, trying to make out any sign of movement, when suddenly, I saw him. A man stood in the shadows, his eyes fixated on my house. His disheveled hair and twisted smile sent chills down my spine. The way he stared at me, with a crazed intensity, made my blood run cold. I could feel his dark, twisted obsession penetrating the very core of my being. Fear gripped me as I realized the truth. This man was in love with me, but his love was nothing but a sick and twisted obsession. My heart raced as I scrambled to secure the doors and windows, praying that they would hold against his relentless pursuit. Days turned into sleepless nights as the stalker's messages flooded my phone, each one more disturbing than the last. He spoke of his undying love for me, vowing to make me his forever. I felt trapped, as if I were caught in a web of his demented infatuation. His relentless stalking didn't stop there. Late at night, I would hear faint scratching sounds at the front door, and my pulse would quicken. The faint whispers of his voice carried on the wind, tormenting me even in the supposed safety of my own home. The isolation of being alone amplified the horror, making it seem as though there was no escape. The police became involved, but their efforts yielded no immediate results. They advised me to be vigilant, to document every incident, and to stay in touch if anything escalated. But the stalker was cunning, always staying one step ahead. He knew how to evade capture, how to terrorize me from the shadows. I couldn't help but constantly look over my shoulder, constantly double-check the locks, constantly questioning whether I was truly safe. Each day felt like a battle for my sanity, a desperate struggle against an invisible enemy who seemed to know my every move. The torment reached its peak one stormy night. The power went out, plunging my house into darkness. The stalker took advantage of the chaos, seizing the opportunity to strike when I was most vulnerable. I could hear his deranged laughter echoing through the empty rooms, his footsteps growing closer and closer. Frantically, I fumbled for my phone, using its feeble glow to guide my trembling steps. I dialed emergency services, my voice shaking as I relayed my desperate plea for help. They promised to send help as soon as possible, but the minutes stretched on like an eternity. Finally, the sound of sirens pierced the night, bringing a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. The police arrived, their presence flooding the house with a renewed sense of security. With their arrival, the stalker's twisted love affair came to a violent end. They apprehended him, his crazed eyes darting around in a mix of rage and despair. In the aftermath, my home was no longer a sanctuary. The memories of that terrifying ordeal haunted every corner, every shadow. I moved to a new place, hoping to escape the haunting spectre of the stalker, but the scars he left behind would forever remind me of the darkness that can exist in the human heart. Even now, in the safety of my new home, I still find myself glancing nervously out the window, haunted by the memory of that deranged stalker. Story 3. John's Warning. I remember that night like it was yesterday. I sat alone in my living room. It had been 2 long years since my dear friend, we'll call him John, and me, George, had passed away, but his memory was still fresh in my mind. Little did I know that his presence would soon manifest in a way that would terrify me to my core. It was a typical evening, just like any other. The house creaked and groaned as the wind howled outside, creating an eerie symphony that set my nerves on edge. I had been engrossed in a book, desperately trying to distract myself from the loneliness that engulfed me. But no matter how hard I tried, the memories of John continued to haunt me. Suddenly, a faint whisper broke through the silence, causing me to jolt upright. "George," the voice called out, barely audible. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized the sound. It was John's voice, unmistakable and filled with an otherworldly echo. "John? Is that you?" I stammered, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. A cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candles I had lit earlier. Shadows danced on the walls, making the atmosphere even more foreboding. Without warning, a figure materialized before me. It was John, but he appeared different somehow. His once jovial expression was replaced by a somber gaze, and his eyes held a depth of sadness I had never seen before. He looked ethereal, almost translucent, as if he was a mere spectre from another realm. "Listen to me," John's voice quivered, and I could feel the urgency in his words. "Something terrible is about to happen to you. You're in danger." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could my deceased friend be standing before me, warning me of impending doom? I wanted to embrace him, to feel his physical presence, but I couldn't bring myself to move. Fear rooted me to the spot, rendering me immobile. "You must leave this place," John continued, his voice growing more desperate. "There's a darkness lurking here, something malevolent. It wants to harm you." Tears welled up in my eyes as I struggled to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Was this some cruel trick of the mind? Or was there truly an evil force lingering in the shadows of my home? Before I could gather my thoughts and respond, John vanished into thin air, leaving me alone in the darkness. The weight of his warning settled heavily upon me, filling me with a sense of unease that I couldn't shake. I knew I had to take his words seriously, but where could I go? How could I escape the unseen danger that threatened my life? As I sat there, contemplating my next move, I wondered, what had happened to my peaceful sanctuary? Days turned into nights, and the weight of John's warning never left my mind. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, filled me with a sense of dread. I couldn't escape the feeling that something sinister was lurking just beyond my sight. Driven by a mix of curiosity and fear, I delved into John's words, trying to decipher their meaning. Why had he chosen to reveal himself to me now? What was it that he wanted to tell me? Something only I could understand? Late one evening, as I sat alone in my dimly lit bedroom, the answers began to surface. A sudden realization washed over me, chilling me to the bone. John had been reaching out to me, not just to warn me of danger, but to share a secret, a message that only I, his closest confidant, could comprehend. The memory of our friendship flooded my mind. John and I had shared countless secrets, whispered dreams, and unspoken fears. We had a bond that went beyond the ordinary, a connection that transcended the boundaries of life and death. With a newfound determination, I closed my eyes and focused on John's essence, summoning his presence once more. The room grew colder, the air thick with anticipation. And there, standing before me once again, was John's ethereal form. "I understand," I whispered, my voice trembling. "You want to tell me something that only I can grasp." John's eyes filled with a mixture of relief and sadness. It was as if a burden had been lifted from his spirit. He reached out his translucent hand, and I tentatively grasped it, feeling a faint tingle of energy passing between us. At that moment, images and emotions flooded my mind, fragments of memories intertwined with unspoken words, creating a tapestry of understanding. I gasped as the truth unfolded before me. John had discovered a hidden secret, a dark secret that had led to his untimely demise. It involved someone close to me, someone I had trusted implicitly. He wanted me to uncover the truth, to expose the malevolence that had taken him away from this world. Tears streamed down my face as I nodded in comprehension. I would not let John's death be in vain. I would confront the darkness that haunted our lives, unmasking the betrayer who had snuffed out his light. With renewed purpose, John's spirit dissipated, leaving me with a newfound strength and resolve. I would embark on a journey to uncover the truth, to unravel the web of deceit that had ensnared our lives. As I stepped down into the night, the wind whispered my friend's name, urging me forward. The darkness no longer held me in fear. Instead, it fueled my determination to seek justice. I would face the horrors that awaited me, for John and for myself. Little did I know that this journey would test the limits of my courage and sanity. But armed with John's guidance from beyond the grave, I would not falter. The haunting truth awaited me, and I was prepared to confront it head on, even if it meant risking my own life.